Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started. So for those of you over in the far back, we're going to get started. If you can hear, and I don't know if you want to turn around or if you're good where you are or whatever works for you. Thank you.
Is she loud enough?
Can you all hear me?
Maybe a little louder.
All right. Carrie's in charge of the microphone. How's that?
That is better.
Okay.
I know what to turn.
Well, welcome everybody to Diane Borcyckowski, our beloved Diane Borcyckowski's celebration of life service. I think you all know that I am Reverend Jennifer Spear. I was a student of Diane's and she was my minister for 14 years. I was a student underneath her. I was a practitioner under her. I was a mentee of hers. And I've even been called, I think it was recently that Pauline called me Diane's mini-me. She was my minister for 14 years and really raised me. You know, I was like 27 years old when I came to Lakewood Church Religious Science Center. Every single class that I took until ministerial school, I took with her. I took classes from her. I taught classes with her. I took classes with her. We did a lot of things together. We created rituals together for every single holiday, which was so much fun. So you all know who I am. I welcome you to this service. So really it is with deep gratitude that I stand before you today. And I am absolutely honored to get to participate in this service of celebrating Diane. Your presence here honors her life, honors her memory, and honors her. It also brings comfort to each other just by us being together, all celebrating Diane and talking about Diane. And so as we gather today to celebrate Diane, we also acknowledge the contribution that she made to each and every one of our lives, for I know she made a really large contribution to every single one of us and who we are today. She has greatly influenced who we have become. And we bring comfort just by being together. And so this celebration is going to be short on ceremony and long on chatting and telling stories about Diane and that kind of thing. So we're going to invite you to bring your stories, and I don't know if we're going to do it just sitting down or if you want to come up here, Carrie's saying. So to share stories about Diane and your time with her. And so I invite you, let's begin with an opening prayer. And so we just take this moment to turn our attention to the truth that there is only one power, one presence, one life, one beingness, and it is that thing we call God. Spirit, the infinite one, love, and life itself. And that presence is expressing itself everywhere, at all times, in all places, as all things. I recognize that I am that divine presence in expression, as is every single person that is here today, as is Reverend Diane Borcyckowski, as is this entire service. And so I recognize that this service is the unfolding of that presence, the unfolding of love and of joy and of a little bit of sadness and of some loss, but mostly celebration and gratitude for this lovely, empowering, beautiful woman that we have all known and have all shared our lives with. What a blessing it is to have been that with Diane. And what a blessing it is to be together today, here in this love and support and comfort of each other. For we really are all family that are here. We have bonds that are invisible but are still absolutely present, where we support each other and care about each other and love each other. And so I bless everything that happens here today, knowing that each and every one of us is blessed by this. And so I release this prayer into that creative womb of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself even now. And I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. Carrie's going to bless us with a song that she wrote for Diane.
For those of you who don't know me, I've been singing and speaking at churches, and Diane's was one of the many. She was always really good about being organized about what she was going to speak about, and she would send a snippet ahead of kind of where the talk was going to go. And This has become one of my favorite songs. I wrote many for her over the years, but this one, this is so indicative of Diane. It's called Might As Well Dance. Message in it is very much Diane. Life's not about just getting by, giving up hope, trying to survive. It's about faith in things unseen, creating our own field of dreams. While we're here, we might as well dance, laugh and sing, whirl and prance, lose the fear and take a chance. While we're here, we might as well dance, rewrite the rules. She did a lot of that. Relearn the games, nothing to lose, everything gained. Let's live in joy and move through the pain. We're here to thrive, that's why we came. So while we're here, we might as well dance, laugh and sing, whirl and prance, lose the fear, take a chance. 'Cause while we're here, we might as well dance. We're moving on, we're reaching out, living our dream. That's what it's about. Learning to trust, setting us free, embracing all our lives can be. So while we're here, you sing with me, we might as well dance, laugh and sing, whirl and prance, lose the fear, take a chance. While we're here, we might as well dance. It's Chris Pinnick on guitar, in case you're wondering. Everybody, while we're here, we might as well dance. We might as well dance, laugh and sing, twirl and trance, lose the fear, and take a chance, While we're here, what? We might as well dance. Do that again. While we're here, we might as well dance, laugh and sing, twirl and trance, lose the fear, take a chance. While we're here, we might as well dance. While we're here, we might as well dance. While we're here, we might as well dance. You came through pretty good on that one.
So from my perspective, a celebration of life is about celebrating a life really much more than mourning a death. However, I am very aware that it is very human to grieve over the passing of a loved one. We can't help but miss them when they're gone. So I invite you to feel whatever it is that you feel today. Allow your heart to remain open to both the pain and the joy, the hurt and the love, the tears and the laughter, It is all necessary in the process of grieving and very appropriate at a time like this. Nature will not let us stay in one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experiences that are necessary for the unfolding and advancement of the soul. Diane has gathered experiences here on earth, and her soul has now advanced into a new dimension in the continuing stream of life, a dimension that is bright with the light of God. And so we're going to open this up to sharing. So I would love for everyone, if you will, to come up and share some memory of Diane, some story, something about your experiences together. Who's interested in coming up and sharing?
Well, good afternoon. Very strange to be in my own backyard with a microphone in my hand, but I think I kind of like it. I know most of you. I'm Holly. If you're on Facebook, you've probably heard most of this because it's what I posted after Diane passed. But I met Diane in 1999 when my father was dying, and I don't know what we would have done had she not been there for us, and mostly for my mom. She counseled us. It was my introduction to religious science. I had no idea. I was raised a Christian, and I was very confused about faith and religion, and that's what introduced me to this idea that it's all one, it's all good. And then I had these two little babies over here, and my husband too, scarred by Catholicism, really difficult to figure out how to raise a couple little people in this world, right? And Diane is the one who sort of gave me that guidance as a young mother, and so just her influence on me as a spiritual person is profound. Her friendship with our family and with my mother, I'm just gonna miss her so much, because I can't tell you how many times my mom has walked out of her bedroom here and said, I just got off the phone with Diane. We talked for 3 hours. Now I have to talk to her for 3 hours, you know? But they were just such good friends and shared so much joy. And Diane, with my boys, like you would have thought they were her grandsons or nephews, the way she talked about them, how proud she was of them. She christened both of them. You'll see the pictures around. They were very tiny then, and not so much now. So anyway, the shock of Diane leaving like she did, still don't know what to make of it, but I do know that she's with us always, and that her memory, these last 24, 25 years that I've known her, and the influence she's had on my life, and they don't know how much influence she's had on their lives, because it was through me, through her to me, to them, how to live in this world with the idea of oneness and wholeness and love. And that all came from her teaching that to me and passing that along. And I've had classes with many of you that have helped on that journey as well, practitioners and ministers. And anyway, I'm gonna miss her, not only for me, mostly for my mom. I'm tired of saying goodbye to people that are so important to my mom. We got to stop getting older, people. I don't know how we stop the clock, but anyway, I'm so glad you're all here to be with us as we remember Diane and know that she's here. I feel her, right? She's we're gonna miss her, and we're so glad she was a part of our lives. I can't imagine not having had her a part of our lives. So I'll pass it to the next person who would like to cry. Oh, you don't have to cry, but you come on up. And if you would like any help sounding out any words, you let me know. Tell me a story.
It's an inside thing. Hello, my name is Art, and I met Reverend Diane the first day I went to the church in Lakewood when we were meeting at the Campfire Lodge, which was September 4th, 1994. I remember it was 9494 Labor Day weekend. And I had been looking for a church. I grew up Catholic. I was looking for a new church family, and a friend of mine told me about this church he was going to be attending the following day, Church of Religious Science. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Oh, it's where you believe. If you believe it, you can achieve it. You are one with God." This sounds interesting. Okay, so I went with him, and when I arrived, I looked around at these people, and I thought, "What did I get myself into? Is this a cult?" Oh my God, no.
And why did you think that?
It was foreign to me. It was different, you know. And then my mind was put at ease when I got the program, and in the program was the lyrics to a song called "It's in Every One of Us," and the line was, "We can all have everything without ever knowing how." And I thought, oh my God, these people understand me. This is how I feel. And then Reverend Diane gave her talk. Her first sermon that I heard was titled "The Sixth Sense," which was way before the movie came out, and everything she said made sense to me. Said she understands me, she gets me, she knows me. And we met afterwards, and I found out that we shared the same birthday, July 23rd, which also Barbara Wells and Jack Dubois also shared the same birthday. So I felt this spiritual connection with this woman, and she had also said that she had been treating to have more gay men attend her church, and if you ask for it, it shall come to you, right? And I'm gayer than gay. So. But little did I know about the journey that I had started when I went to church the first time. I continued taking classes that led to taking practitioner class, 2-year practitioner course with like 11 of us. You know, Gail and Jim and Levon and Annie were part of that class, and it was an amazing experience. And it was all about stepping out of my comfort zone. And Reverend Diane was always there to gently guide me out of my comfort zone. But there was no step that I took out of my comfort zone, which was the greatest step I took out of my comfort zone was when one Sunday during her talk, she asked the congregation, "Who would like to go skydiving with me?" And I thought, oh, I'd love to do that, but I'm afraid. No, I can't do that. But then I realized if I let fear stop me from doing what I want to do, I'll never do anything. So we went to Lake Elsinore. It was tandem skydiving. We had partners with us. And there we are in this plane 13,000 feet above the ground. Reverend Diane goes out first. Like, there goes my minister. And again, I'm asking myself, what did I get myself into? Oh my God. And there I go. The scariest part is taking that step out of the airplane. But once you're out there, it was so much fun. It was exhilarating. It was beautiful. I'm glad I did it. And we opened the parachute and we're gliding down. And I see Reverend Diane lying on her stomach on the ground, her arms out like this. And I thought, oh, look, she's so happy to be back on land that she's hugging the earth. Well, it turns out she didn't stick her landing and fell face forward with her tandem partner on top of her. Oh, but it was an incredible experience being at church, not even knowing that the Church of Religious Science existed until the day before I showed up to this, to the church. And then we moved from the Campfire Lodge to Cypress, and then I was living in Lomita, moved to Silver Lake, and I thought, the commute is too long, I'm not gonna go to this church anymore, I'll find a church closer to me. And I told Reverend Diane, I won't be coming back. I'm going to find a church closer to me. I told Reverend Betsy. Reverend Betsy cried when I told her that I was not going to be part of the church anymore. I thought, oh, how sweet. I told Reverend Diane, and I got no tears from Reverend Diane. I thought, what? You're not going to miss me? Okay. Well, 2 months later, I showed up back at Cypress, realizing that I already have my church family here, my church home here. Just because I live further away, who cares? I'm gonna commute as long as it takes, how many miles it takes. And so when I showed up back at church, Reverend Diane looks at me and says, I knew you'd be back. Yes, she knew me better than I knew myself. And also there was one night where I called and said, I'm not gonna make it to practitioner class because I just was overwhelmed and I didn't want to go. But I ended up going. And when I showed up, she said, I knew you were going to come. Okay. And of course, when she left the church to pursue her dreams of living up in Crestline, it was sad to see her leave, but we were happy for her. And then after that, I went to visit her twice, and there was one time it had snowed, and so we went sliding down the snow-covered hill on these inner tire tubes, and we had so much fun. We went up and down and screaming like little kids, and we just couldn't get enough. And I love that this woman who was my minister, my mentor, my teacher, was also my friend, and we had so much fun. And yes, I will miss her too, and I'm so grateful for the time I spent at the church, and for the memories, and for all the love and the growth that I experienced and keep experiencing because of what I learned back then. It's a never-ending process of learning and growing. But I have those tools that Reverend Diane gave me, that she taught me, that she showed me, and so I will always be grateful for her. Thank you.
Who's next?
Annie McCary.
I share a lot of the same experiences as Arturo when it comes to Reverend Diane. We met at the Campfire Lodge, and I remember going there because my kids were in Campfire. And so I would take my kids to the Campfire meeting, and then I saw a sign that says, you know, Science of Mind or something like that. But I went and I met her, and she introduced herself, and so I got to know her, to feel really comfortable around her, and I attended the service, and she was very inviting for me. And little did I know that this was a trap. So she set me up. She set me up because when we moved to the Cypress Church, she said, "Oh, you know, you've been coming quite frequently. Perhaps you should take maybe one of the foundation classes." And I thought, oh, okay. So she said, you know, I'm teaching some of the classes, and Reverend Betsy's teaching some classes, so you should sign up. And so I took the first foundation class, and she said, perhaps you should take the Science of Mind too. And I thought, okay, I don't have anything else to do, so I'll just do that. And all the while, she was supporting me, saying, you can do this, you know this. And I'm thinking my life is a wreck. All of this stuff, these Science of Mind principles, they're for other people because I'm special. I've got issues. And so I'm just here for the other people because I've got issues. So she had me pegged from the beginning. And she said, and I took some more classes and she said, perhaps you should start thinking about practitioner training. Just saying, start practitioner, just think about it. So I took all the other classes. And then I said, okay, you know what, I will do the practitioner training. And so that's when the shit hit the fan. Everything went haywire. My life fell apart. Every time I did an assignment, she just marked all over it and said, redo. Every paper I did, it was redo. And then she'd say, go deeper. I had no idea what she was talking about. And go deeper. I'm like, I can't go any deeper. And she just, redo, go deeper, redo. And I finally did get it. Because she said to me, if you don't get it, then you're just going to be taking these classes because I'm not going to pass you. I am not going to pass you as a practitioner so that you can go out there and not be your authentic self. If you want to pass practitioner training, you got to be your authentic self. That's what I mean by going deeper. And I did. She was there with me the whole time, holding my hand, still making me redo all those papers, meeting with me weekly to bring me up to par, to be the person that I am today. And so I did, and she congratulated me, and she said, you did it. And then she said, perhaps, maybe you should think about going to ministerial school. And I thought, really? There's a trap again. She set me up from the very beginning. But I say that to say that she was a very deep and insightful person. She knew the soul of me. She knew the spirit of me. And she knew that I had too much other stuff going on for me to do this journey alone. So she journeyed with me as I uncovered the real me, uncovered enough of me so that I can function in the world. Because she said to me, I'm not going to let you go out there and be a fake. I am not. So if you're serious about this teaching, if you're serious about getting your life together, then you're going to have to do the work. And I'm not going to let you practice on people when you're not authentic yourself. So she mentored me, she helped me, she supported me, she helped me through a bad marriage, she helped me through ministerial school, she just helped me all along the way. And she was just my support. And a couple of times, I got offers to come and candidate for churches. So every time I would call Diane and I'd say, I'd say, they have invited me to candidate for this church. And so she explored deeper with me. Is this something that you would like to do? And so I would just review everything with her. And I decided, no, I didn't want to do that. Another church reached out to me. And I decided, no, I don't want to do that. And so she applauded me. She applauded me for knowing who I am and what I can do, and for reaching out to her in a innocent way. Reaching out to her, because she was not going to stroke my ego. That was just not her. But so she said to me, this is what I meant when I told you to redo all of your assignments and to go deeper. You are there. You've gone deeper. You know the path now. You know the path to go deeper. You know how to get there, and you know what to do. Whenever life presents you with a situation, you know what to do. So I appreciate that about her so much. She would invite me. I went to visit her when she was up in Crestline. I went to visit her when she was in Oregon. I've got a photo up there of her and I. We went out to dinner. She showed my husband and I the entire town where she lived, where the river falls were. We just had a blast. We had an amazing time. So I will remember her as my teacher, my mentor, my friend, my ever-present help whenever I needed it. So Godspeed, Diane. And then, so I'm a minister, and I have the mic. So, go on, okay.
Well, I'm seeing I'm involved here with a group that had a lot more involvement with Reverend Diane. I originally saw Reverend Diane kind of in the background at Peggy Bassett's church before I made the decision to attend Guidance Church in Los Angeles. But I recognized her some years later, 1992 in the summer. I was living in Moscow, Russia, and I had planned the second New Thought conference to happen in the former Soviet Union, and that was happening. We rented the Olympic Village from 1984, from the Olympics that the United States boycotted. Well, I got to spend a lot of time at that Olympic Village, and I was very pleased to see a familiar face show up with the American team when they came to present this 5-day conference for about 160 Russian students. And so it was Reverend Diane. And the thing I could never, ever forget, we had some very serious lectures, and they took longer because we had to use interpreters, and so everything was said again, and so it was a very long, drawn-out process to do a lesson or a message. And so Diane at one point recognized that this group is in need of a break. So she instructed everybody to go outdoors, and we got into a great big circle, and then through her interpreter, she taught and demonstrated the hokey pokey. And the lasting impression, you have to understand, upon these Russian students was this. their idea of the holy person, the spiritual person, was a long-haired guy with a big beard, a Russian Orthodox priest. And then we were already giving a different impression by not looking like that. But then to have this lady that was teaching serious spiritual lessons play like that left an everlasting impression on these Russians about what the spiritual life could be. It wasn't just a serious enterprise, but it involved a type of play such that we may be like those who are in the kingdom of heaven, the little ones. And it was fabulous. And then I came back from Russia, and she provided for me a fabulous gift. At the time, I had only completed Science of Mind 2, but I was the only American living in Russia at the time. I was getting invitations to do lectures and travel and introductory lectures. And so I had a lot of work to do to step up even further to accomplish these things that were before me. And she really helped by talking to Dr. Lee Gibson. She had him offer me the Peak experience, which was a fabulous experience. And then I would visit her a couple times at the campfire, also because I knew Reverend Amon, who was associated with them. I knew him from Guidance Church, and I still study with him on Tuesday nights. But and then I visited a couple times Cyprus, taking time out from where I usually went to Guidance Church when I was here in the United States, because for 12 years I was half the time in Russia and Ukraine. And finally, in March, I reached out to her. I heard she was in Oregon because I had a family reunion planned, but she just had other business before her than to be around until a couple weeks ago when I went up there. So I missed the opportunity of reconnecting with her and visiting, but I cherish our memories and her as a person, and know that she is blessed right now where she is. Thank you. Free mic.
Oh, come on, Pauline Taylor. Thank you for calling her out. I know. She only has like 150 stories to tell. Mini me. Absolutely. Darn.
There. It served you well.
Oh, it will. Okay, I want you to move a little bit so you don't point into the speaker.
Okay. Well, where do I start? I've known Diane forever, it seems, through Reverend I get emotional too. But I remember her birthday where we decided I was always the rebel in the community. And I always tried to give her, tease her kind of thing. And I was always giving her a bad time, and she was the only minister that I could really just kind of, okay, whatever. And so we had her birthday, and she hated broccoli. Hated broccoli. So we decided that we would celebrate her birthday by putting broccoli on her birthday cake. So I had the birthday cake in the kitchen where I lived, and I had the broccoli set aside, all cut, and so I began, when it came time, I began to put the broccoli all over the cake and carried it out, and she liked to have a fit. She could not believe it. But it was a big joke. We had a lot of fun. I wish to goodness that we had the photo album, because the pictures are worth $1 million. I mean, her expression and just the whole ha 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 through the congregation, because we nailed her. We got her good. And but she was a beautiful person, beautiful leader, and I too will miss her.
Was that one of her birthdays where we all dressed in black and did a funeral dirge at the beginning of the service? I think that was one of her birthdays also. It must have been her, I don't know if it was her 40th or 50th birthday. I remember her sitting up on the stage and saying, well, now, I think it was her 40th. Now that it's my 40th birthday, I can quit wondering if I'm ever going to need to wear a bra. I also remember Pauline coming in really late one time. We were at Cyprus, walking in halfway through the service, and Diane stopping in the middle of her talk and going, well, Pauline, how nice of you to join us today.
Her and I both had that kind of a connection. It was either I'm getting at her or she's getting at me, one way or the other. It was a lot of fun, and she'll be truly missed. Truly missed.
She was so funny and so dramatic. I find myself, every time I say perhaps, you were saying perhaps, every time I hear myself say perhaps, I hear Diane saying that. So who else will come up and talk about something?
Mr. Wong. Got something to say.
Well, you're really good at calling on people, aren't you? You know, I used to tell Diane, this is one of my favorite stories, I'd say, you know, I think I probably should go to ministerial school because I like the sound of my own voice. She didn't appreciate that. So yeah, I'm a little bit like Pauline. It was like, you know, she was such a powerhouse and such a force to be reckoned with that, yeah, you had to kind of push back every now and then, maybe all the time. I learned so much from her, and I've heard what the people that have already shared just said such beautiful things, and I go, well, I don't have anything that wonderful to say, and I don't have, but Annie, when you talked about authenticity, this thing called life, have we ever heard that phrase before? This thing called life? It's like, the older I get, the more I realize how much I'm trying to figure it out. You know, I'm one of these guys that when I was young, I knew everything. I would even got accused of being a know-it-all more than once. But I remember that the first time I saw Diane was at the Huntington Beach Church when she just finished ministerial school, I think, and she was a guest speaker. And I said, holy moly, that gal's on fire. I'd like to hear her speak again. And I had bounced around some different churches. I'd been at the Unity Church on Broadway, yeah. And because I was back in school, going back to school as an older student. And then there was Guy Lorraine's Long Beach Church, which that's a long story, not necessarily with a good ending. And then I heard that Diane was coming to Lakewood, you know, and I remember her early story about how she found her first church with the Volkswagen that broke down in Hollywood, wherever it was, and that notion of synchronicity and that nothing happens by accident. We're not here together by accident. And she was part of that energy that draws us to discover who we are, to be ourselves. And yeah, she wasn't gonna let up. You know, in practitioner training, we shared some just powerful, you know, that inward journey during the first year of discovery. It's like, you know, that mask. I'm still struggling right now with the mask because being mixed racially, I never felt like I fit. Y'all don't know this about me, but I never felt like I fit in. It's like, oh, it's like 1 foot, you talk about synchronicity, there's 1 foot on the platform, 1 foot on the train. I literally, Gail's got she knows about this. I literally, one day was, one of my aha moments was in a spiritual awakening was kind of like, yeah, I literally was on a sailboat, small one, with 1 foot on the dock and 1 foot on the boat. The boat wasn't secured. So I went swimming and was able to retrieve the boat. And I think part of what Diane encouraged me to do is to commit. And I didn't know about service, really. I didn't really know about community. I'm still learning about community. But she had a way of being steadfast, even though she abandoned us.
Yes.
You know, and that was really a blow to me, because I felt like, well, wait a minute, you know, there's my minister. And so there was an emptiness, a void. Her strength, her presence, her playfulness, her challenging spirit. She wouldn't let us get away with being less than who we are, and I'll forever be grateful for that. You know, I'm stumbling with my words because my heart is so heavy, and I don't want to feel the hurt that I feel inside right now. I'm in shock. I can't believe she's gone. You know, it's like, of all the people in the world that was going to be here forever for all of us, it was her. And I'm totally at a loss for words in that area. It's how unlike me. But it's true. I'm totally at a loss for words. So I'll just close with saying, even though my heart is heavy, and even though this thing called life continues to be challenging, her teaching, her encouragement, her strength, just by example, the life that she lived encouraged me at times when I've been low, and those have been many, and so what a gift. And I feel her presence here with all of us, and know that she's kind of a glue that got us all stuck together, and I think that'll be forever, for a lifetime, and however long that is. So I don't know if any of this made any sense, but thanks for letting me have this opportunity. And now, ladies and gentlemen, no, take your time. Where are those tissue boxes anyway?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a beautiful, sweet, hard moment for us to be together like this, but it's so good to look out and see all these beautiful faces, and to remember our Reverend in our own special ways. And I can ditto so many of you. I'll start with Holly, when you were talking about learning all the special things that you've passed on to your boys, and knowing that you wanted to raise them in a different way. I felt the same way about wanting to raise my girls different than I had been. And it's such a gift. It's such a gift that I will always carry with me. And I remember Pauline calling me and telling me about Reverend Diane, and I didn't have any words, but I just told her, I know it sounds silly, but like, she's just not supposed to go, she's, and I kept telling her, I know, I hear what you're telling me, but it's just like not quite soaking in. And then all of you, like Arturo, Art, and Annie, you talking about having, assignments marked and saying, do this again and go deeper. And I'm like, well, how deep am I supposed to go? you know, but it's so wonderful, and to see you, Jennifer, here, and everyone else. It's just, you know, because not only did she gift us with what we learned, but she gifted us all with each other. And, you know, I haven't seen you guys in so many years, but I felt like I just saw you last Sunday. You know, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful gift. And, you know, same thing, I remember getting a phone call. You know, I think you should take the foundation class. So I did. And then came the next class and the next class. And, you know, I took the first year of practitioner in a different church. And I don't think I quite got hooked enough. Or I didn't let myself at that time. And, you know, I went back to school. I went to get my teaching credential. And then I said, well, when I finish my teaching credential, I'll go back. But, you know, there's always time. So I want to thank you, Holly, and you, special friend, for having us gather today. And to just recall all these beautiful memories, you know, and I look at you and I remember the gift of our New Year's Eve, you know, dancing in my living room all night long. Do you not remember that? You don't?
I don't remember many things.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one.
Oh, you're in a good club.
Yeah. Do I have pictures somewhere? I'm sure. Yeah, you and Lenore's would come over on New Year's. My daughters were really little, you know, and it's just so wonderful that you know, my daughters, even though they were so young, they remember, you know, they remember the teachings, and it's just so wonderful. And right now, when we were talking about pictures, I have a picture, and I wish I had taken the time to look for it, but it's Easter, and it's Reverend Diane up with the kids, and our daughter Brianna in the bunny suit. Someone rented this adorable bunny suit, and Reverend Diane had talked her into being the bunny, you know. So it's just such beautiful, beautiful memories. So thank you all of you for being here, and thank you for sharing. And, you know, may we see each other again soon under different circumstances, just because. Okay, so I know we always will have each other, and we are her gift of being together and remembering her like we always will.
Thank you. Thank you. So I told you I was at a loss for words.
You found some.
Why are you laughing, Pauline? I forgot something. I do that a lot lately. So where are my keys? Where's my sunglasses? Anyway, Diane married my beautiful wife and I. She joined us together in holy matrimony. One of the greatest days of my life. And I said earlier I didn't think I knew what community was. I was still trying to learn what love was. You know, I had come to the realization in a failed marriage that love is not like it is in the movies. It's not that falling in love happy ever after. It's work. And when I went to the Lakewood church to see Diane, there was this young lady in the church with a neat hat and shoes. And we're together now. and we've been together all these years. And Diane was so gracious, and everybody was so gracious. I don't know if you all know how many of you were there and how many of you were not, but the whole congregation decorated the campfire lodge, because I was a starving student again, and we didn't have any money, and things were shaky with Gail's work at the time. And even though it was such a heady experience, you know, it's like part of me was out of body, another part of me really got in touch with what community is and what love is. And that was, I never felt so loved, not just from Gail, but from everybody that pitched in and gave us that beautiful, beautiful gift of a ceremony that we couldn't afford otherwise. And it was so special. I don't know how it could possibly have been any better. And so, Diane, and all of you, each and every one of you, and Gail too. Thank you for that. So yeah, this thing called life, it can be so full of joy, and you know, we look at. I came here starting to chat off with some of the people about. I'm really good at catastrophizing, and oh, gee, ain't it awful? And I say, yeah, what's that Chinese, famous Chinese curse? May you live an interesting life. I think we're living in interesting times. But the teachings of this philosophy and the love that is here today, and the love that Diane had for each of us. Yeah, and she could be contrary. We all know that. But she's just such an inspiration. So I just wanted to say that how grateful I am for that. And who else wants to speak? Thank you.
If you don't know who I am, I'm Lorraine's grandson. And I think my experience is a little different because I just knew her as Aunt Diane. And I was really young when she was doing a lot of the stuff that you guys are talking about, so I didn't really remember a lot of it. But the one thing, when she passed away, the one thing I could only remember was her smile, and how every time I saw her smile, it kind of lit up the room. And again, very quick, but that was the one thing I could remember, was every time I saw her, she'd have a big smile on her face, and I think I'll really miss that the most. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Lorraine. I don't know if I can do this.
Of course you can.
Yeah, that's what my daughter always says. It's okay to cry, Mom, because I do it. The memories. I have so many, travel and everything, and when I shared with everyone your favorite memory, I thought, oh my gosh, which one am I going to pick? We first met, actually, most of you, we were RVing at the time, and we had a place in Cyprus just down from the center. And Byron was out doing errands, because we had to do our errands separate because we only had one car. And he saw the sign, and he went in, and Betsy was there. And he was like an hour later than he told me he was going to get back. And I go, I wonder what's going on. And he comes back into the RV, and he says, I think I found a group of people that think like we do. And we started attending the center when we were in town, because we were working and traveling at the same time. But I have so many memories with traveling. Some I'm sure she wouldn't want me to share. And we just had a lot of fun. But the most important memory, I think I can do this. When Byron passed, it was only 1.5 years, and I always felt he found all of you for me. And she was counseling me just a short time after, and she said, you are here and you have to get over there, and it's your choice how you do it. You can take the high road or you can take the low road. And that was one of the most important things a minister ever said to me, because it was awful. And then when Lee passed, this turned kind of funny, because I'm talking with her and I said, you know, this minister once told me, and I shared that with her, and she goes, who told you that? And I honestly don't know if she was kidding me or not when I was thinking about what I was going to share, but I will definitely miss her. We had a couple adventures planned that I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to go, and she will be greatly missed. And I'm glad that she's at peace and that she's not suffering and that she's with Lee. And I think I've shared with everyone, but Alex, Lee's daughter, was supposed to be here, and their baby came almost a month early. So she's busy learning how to be a mom. And she did we have a video for everyone to watch, and she sent that to Holly, and Jace got it on the TV. So, and I'm just so thankful for all of you coming to celebrate her.
Diane's one of the few people in my life that I can honestly say she walked her talk. There was like the bullshit meter. There was just like no tolerance for it. I met her, working in support of her, which is something that for me is an honor when I do this with any minister. She was such a dynamo, and she was so authentic. She came completely from the real part of who she is. I don't know if very many of you know the story about when she bought her first RV. She and Lee bought this RV. It was an older model. And I've been RVing for years. I had a little Toyota Dolphin touring rig. And so she called me because she knew I used to take it to some of the gigs, especially when she was up in Big Bear. So I would have my kitchen and my bathroom, my own place to stay. So she called me when she got it, and I remember thinking, boy, this is going to be interesting. She went to pick it up, and I can't remember what all went wrong, but it was pretty much everything. I think the propane leaked out and almost caught the thing on fire, and the gas line broke at the same time, and it was just like one of those, it was, and I saw when she called, I think she called kind of in the middle of all of it, like, what do I do? The worst part for her was the darkest side of RVing, when she realized that you have to empty the poop tanks. She called, she's like, really, you have to do this? And I'm like, that's the dark side, honey. Get used to it. Where else do you think it's going to go? So she called, and we talked, and I remember she had talked with Lee, and they were trying to decide if they should keep it or sell it, but they decided to name it She Always Lands on Her Feet, or something like, or Lands on Her Feet, or something, and that was Diane. I had the honor of playing for Lee's memorial, and she called he also went so quickly. And I know that was a really hard time for her. I know it tested her faith. But she came through it. She would always, no matter what was going on, she would return to that core that I think all of us want to develop, to have more than anything. I know she has been a huge inspiration for me. And it was interesting. I don't know how many of you streamed the service up in Oregon? Did any of you watch it? Yeah, because I watched it, and when Sydney Lehrman got up she is a minister that Diane also mentored quite a lot. When she got to speak, the first thing she said was,
she said a few things and then she just went, God damn it, Diane. Anybody besides me feel that, we still need you. She was my spiritual counselor. I mean, when people go, well, who's this person? And I said, well, she's a really good friend. I live about 6 miles from where Lee's tree is. And she came last August and wanted me to go with her to see if that part of Big Basin Park in Boulder Creek is open. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but the relief on her face and in her being when the park staff assured her that those big trees made it through the fire, that she didn't have to worry. 99% chance that Lee's tree was still there. And we had planned for her to come again this summer and find it. Now the plan is with Alexandra and myself and her partner that we will go. They're going to try to raise funds to do a memorial tree for Diane as well. We're going to try to get one that's close to Lee. And they want me to help set that up. And we want to distribute some of Diane's ashes at Lee's tree. So I want you all to know that they're together and they're going to be together, their physical remains. So it was very sweet because Alexander said, oh, you're the one. You're the one. I've always had this image of this little tree fairy that's keeping an eye on Dad's tree. And I said, that's me. So anyway, it was so touching and so sweet. But it was great when Sydney shared that, because I wish I could remember, I wish I had a pad of paper, I would have written it down. But Diane was so much more than a friend, I think, to so many of us. She got it. She got it on such a deep level that when the poop would hit the fan, I could call her and she'd walk me through it. Sometimes she'd get really mad at whoever was messing with me, like more than I thought a minister should. Aren't you supposed to forgive? Like, where's that part? But she was, her clarity and her just that core knowing in this woman was so helpful because there was never anything wishy-washy when we really got down to brass tacks. She knew her stuff and she could help me know my stuff and help me find my way back to my core, to my heart. And I really feel like she did that for everybody that she met that would let her. So she is horribly missed. Damn it, Diane. So anyway, it's just such an honor to be here. I had so much fun writing songs for her. Some of my favorite songs that I've crafted were in support of her services. So anyway, does anyone else want to share? Don't be shy. This is a song that she actually picked out of my stuff to do for Lee's service. And I wrote this for my dear friend Peter, who died really not as unexpectedly or as quickly as Diane, but pretty unexpectedly. And I'll tell you just a little bit of the backstory. He was my friend in Switzerland. I toured over there for 17 years. He was a Swiss air traffic controller, so he had clearance. This was way before 9/11, but he would always meet me at the door of my plane and get me through customs and everything because he had the inner path. He got flesh-eating bacteria, streptococcus, 1 in a million cases. They thought it was the flu. By the time he was hospitalized, it had already really damaged most of his organs. And I actually have a friend who's a clairvoyant, and she told me kind of what his journey was going through, of him hovering between the decision to stay or to go. And this was actually confirmed by Peter's ex-wife, who was a dear friend of his still. But he was like Diane. He just took life by the horns and did everything with a vigor and a passion. And I had never lost anyone close to my age, and it was just devastating. He was like 49. I think I was about
40, maybe 42. And I was sitting on my deck, and Peter was a hang glider as well as a pilot. And I looked up and I saw what at first I thought was a bird. And it was just hovering. You know how they'll just hang in the air when they're in the updraft? And I thought, oh, wow, that's a really big bird. And I kept staring at it. And then I went, no, that's somebody who's soaring. That's somebody in one of those kites. We lived on 2 acres in the middle of the redwoods off the Avenue of the Giants. And I'm going, that's not possible. And it was a silhouette. And then it cleared, and I saw Peter's face so clearly looking at me, and then the image just disappeared. It was one of the most profound experiences of my life. So I sat down and I wrote this song. 2 weeks later, I got a copy of his program from his memorial, standing room only at the church, by the way. And it said on the front, and he took his wings and flew into the light. And I asked his wife, where did you get that? And she said, it came to me really clearly, and the only person I could figure sent it to me was Peter. So she had credited him on the program. And I said, well, you can be sure, because the song that I had written off of that image was called Into the Light. So we can know Diane liked this one too. And hopefully I pushed all the right buttons. The moon from the other side, 2 stars still shine in your eyes. Has the way been clear? Are you far from here? Can you hear us laugh and cry? The tides, who lights the skies, who sprinkles rain in our eyes. We're left behind, searching to find what we need to learn while there's time.
on. Your love lives on still today. You found your wings, transcend all things, take to the sky and fly. I close my eyes, see you soaring high, beyond the night, into the light. You are the light, you light up night. Open your wings and take flight.
And so I'd like to share a poem with you. It's called Standing by the Seashore, Standing on the Seashore. We're standing on the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails in the morning breeze and moves softly out into the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and of strength. I stand and look at her until at length she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and the sky come together to mingle with one another. We watch until she fades on the horizon, and someone at our side says, "Look, she is gone." Gone? Gone where? Gone from our sight, that is all. She is just as large in mast and hull as she ever was. Her diminished size lies in us, not in her. At the very moment someone says she is gone, there are others who are watching her come. Other voices take up the glad shout, "Here she comes." And so I'd like to close with a prayer, so I invite you to join me as we turn in an attitude of prayer. And we know in our hearts and in our souls that all is well with Reverend Diane Borcyckowski, for she is home in the one creative power, the infinite love, and the care and the keeping of God from which she originated. The presence of God surrounds her now and surrounds and envelops us. Peace be with Diane today and always. And may we know that we are eternally connected to Diane, for she lives in our hearts now and always. May we know in our hearts and in our souls that all is well in the life of Diane. May the presence of peace be with us this day and all the day following. And so it is. And so there's a video presentation if you'd like to come into the house that we can watch of Diane.